The engine is back in. The transmission is now a 5-speed. The clutch is now brand new. And so is just about everything else. If you looked at part 7, I talked about all the components that I placed on the engine, all the hoses and valves and thermostats and water pumps and timing belts and seals and you name it, right? Well, we did all that because I want this car to be as reliable as possible. This is a daily driver. I literally take this thing to town and back every day. That's 18 miles each way. And yeah, it's kind of rules, twists and turns and all the rest. So other things going on. We got the engine in, it runs, it's smooth. I've gone through the break-in period and now it is time to readjust the valves. I'm not going to do that on film. It's just, I don't think there's enough people left on the planet adjusting manual valves to make that worthwhile. But yeah, the alternator is new, the belt for the alternator is new as well. The battery is still holding a good charge. I put a new filter in. The plugs were brand new when I got the car, so they only have about 15,000. I'll run those to 30 before I replace them. But let me back the camera up, show you what's going on. So I had it on the road to do the test drive, and now I'm bringing it back in. It's been 600 miles. I'm going to change the oil, and I'm going to show you what I'm up to. Okay, this is what I'm up to. As you can see, the front spindles are off the car, and the rear brake drums are off the car. I am going to be replacing the front wheel bearings on this car, and I don't have a press here at the house, so I have to take those spindles down to the shop and have that done down there. I'll go ahead and press them in, press them out. Again, not something I'm going to film because, you know, how many people are working on these old girls and need to know how to press a wheel bearing in? But that's going to be fine there. On the backs, these are greasable, you know, tapered fit roller bearings. That's just a simple task. So I took those apart. I've got new seals and new inner and outer bearings and new inner and outer races coming for that. So I'm going to do that. Again, all to make this car super reliable. I was hearing the beginning of the rears going bad when I first bought this car. Kind of roared, especially after a couple hours. They get hot and get kind of angry. But suddenly and from out of nowhere, the front on the passenger side started doing that. Could be that I over-tightened the axle nut, although I do believe I went by the torque specs listed in the thing. So it's probably just time, age, you know, wear, usage. Just happened to be a coincidence. But for the price, it was like $30 per side to do the fronts and $35 for the entire kit to do both of the rears, seals, and all the rest. I just figured it was time to do it. The last thing you can see if you're real good with your eyes is that the gas door is now missing, the container's missing. Ever since finishing this engine rebuild, I have gotten some fuel smell and I haven't been able to locate where that's coming from. It only occurs when the car is in motion and a window is rolled down. Don't roll down a window, don't smell it. Roll down a window on either side, suddenly the cab is full of gas fumes. So I've got to figure that out. I've gone over the fuel lines and ensured they're not leaking. The tank has been replaced, the fuel center's been replaced, the gasket's not leaking there, the hoses aren't leaking there. So what I think we've got is a problem with the charcoal canister or the evap system on this car. Not a lot of information on the net, and the photos for the Rabbit right out of the Bentley magazine as far as how the system is set up are incorrect for this early 1980 model, so they must have made some changes. And so far I haven't been able to find any actual accurate photos or diagrams of how the system is set up. That means I'm going to use a tool, and I will show you how this works. It's called the smoke machine. And in one of these, it probably won't be a part of this series, but it'll just be an educational how-to video on how to use a smoke video to define vacuum leaks, to find evap leaks, and to find leaks in gas tanks, whatever. Any kind of leak you're interested in, a smoke tester is the best way to go about doing that. I guess that'll do it for today. It's not a huge update, but none of them really are at this point. This was a winter project that spiraled out of control. I'm trying to get this car ready to take on a cross-country trip again like it did 3 years ago, or 2 years ago, I guess it was. Maybe it's been 3 years. I can't remember. Anyway, no matter what it's been, I want it to be a daily driver here in town, but I also want to know that if I hit the high road and I put this baby in 5th gear, I can cruise at 65 for as long and as hard as I want to before pulling over for the night. Stick around as we make sure that the little Rabbit truck is able to make that journey once again. Take care.